car fans, welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Revell, and this week I'm going to feature a 70 Roadrunner that I built. Keeping up with the story of the Roadrunner for 1970, it's a third year of production. They did some refreshing of the body, mainly outside sheet metal. Pretty much the only things not changed was the roof skin, even though you really can't take it off, and then the doors are actually interchangeable with a 68 or 69. Well, carefully interchangeable. I was reading on that, just comparing sheet metal, and apparently a 69 and a 70 door are completely interchangeable, but the 68, I was reading that the hinges are actually different, and I guess where the lock rod is and the latch is a little bit different. So there's, I guess, some changes there, but as far as the actual metal was unchanged. But fenders, hood, all the rear sheet metal, with all the exterior sheet metal was changed, and the scoops were added. And of course the tail lights are different. The tail panel and the tail lights and the rear bumper, and then the front bumper and everything were changed for 1970 to freshen up the look. And it became a 1 year only for the sheet metal. But when it came to the Roadrunner, it was based off of the Belvedere as far as content. So the GTX was based off of the Sport Satellite, so it came with more features standard than the Roadrunner did. It was still kind of the taxi cab car, even though more of the options were getting on there, and it was starting to become a little bit more expensive of a car. 383 was still standard, the 335 horse, and I understand it was 330 horse if it had AC. A little bit milder cam to create a little bit more vacuum. But the 440 was not available. You can only get the 446 pack and then the Hemi in the Roadrunner. The 440 was still reserved for the GTX. So it's kind of interesting what they would let you do and what they wouldn't let you do. But if you stepped up to the Hemi, the air grabber hood was standard on the Hemi, and that was almost an $800 option. It was $700 and something dollars. I built this one as a 446 pack, which it's right out of the box. It comes with the 446 pack in the model kit, so I built this one just like that. But the 446 pack, it first came out in '69 as the M Code A12 race car, but some of the complaints on that were you could not get disc brakes in '69 on that package, even though the Bud 4-piston brake system was available on the '69 Roadrunners. It was not available on the A12 packaged cars. They were meant to be a drag race only car, even though 1,400 of those were made. So for 1970, the 446 pack became a little bit more widely available. The 4-speed tranny was no longer standard. They dropped that, and the 3-speed transmission was now was standard. The 4-speed and the automatic became options. So now you had to pay extra for your 4-speed, where in '69 that was standard. The 446 pack was almost a $250 option on a little bit over $3,000 base price of the Roadrunner. And then if you wanted the transmission, the 4-speed tranny, that was another almost $200 option, along with the stripes, and the hood stripes were all options. So you started to option this car up, and it started to add up fast. You could get bucket seats in the console in them. You don't see too many of those. But this one's got a bench seat, which is what the Revell kit updated when they did this. Or you option it up the way you want. And air grabber hoods were optional on the 446 pack. They weren't standard, so you could get them without the air grabber hood. So also for 1970, disc brakes were available on this car, so you could get a 446 pack with disc brakes now. And then you had your choice of wheels. I think it immediately went up to the 15-inch wheels, but you had the rally wheels, and then you could have the dog dish wheels, which are kind of shown here, but these are not technically accurate for the Roadrunner. What the model kit comes with here, those are the cop car wheels, and I stripped the chrome off of them and painted them purple, although it's not quite the same shade, if you notice. So I had an issue right there with that. This is a 15-year-old build from a kit that came out in 2000, but I built it about 15 years ago, and I don't remember whose purple paint I used. It's plum crazy, and I don't remember whose paint I had used, or clear coat. I know it's clear coat, but this paint job laid out awesome. And then 10 years later, roughly about 5 years ago, I entered it in a Desert Scale Classic in the club section where it got to be voted. And I actually got best paint for this one, which I thought was quite interesting that, I could win best paint with a paint job that was more than 10 years old at a show. So I'm pretty proud of that. Pretty happy with that. But built this. Now this particular kit, one of the weak points, I show you the decals that it comes with in I have a review that I'm also producing this weekend since I had all the kits. You can go to that video and you can see the decals that come with this kit, but these are the Keith Mark decals, which have a very nice dust trail. Matter of fact, let's see if I can. A very nice dust trail and a very nice bird at the very front. And I believe those 446 ones are the Revell ones. They may be Keith Marks, but I'm pretty sure those are the Revell ones. And then I painted these stripes on the front here. Matter of fact, this is what I like to do because it kind of patterns after the actual car. I believe the first 5 vents are black, and then the next 3 or 4 are body color, and then the rest of the center ones are black. So the stripes actually start right where the vents start on the real car. And that's according to the factory blueprints. So I kind of mimicked that with this. So I went on 5 vents in and painted the center section black, and then I painted the outer 3 black. So that's how I came up with a pattern for the stripe on this. So that paint, or that stripe on the hood, is actually paint, semi-gloss black. And worked out really nice for me. So since then I've been doing all of mine that way. And then the other issue I had, if you notice, I had some wrinkling, and it was especially apparent on this white one. If it'll come through on the camera, the rear stripe, there's a lot of wrinkling in the Keith Mark decal. So I was kind of reacting with the clear. Try not to block the light with my own arms while I hold this up. And these taillights, they're chrome on the model kit, and you just paint them the stoplight red. So that's paint on those, and it comes out really nice. And I put the spoiler on it. I was kind of off and on about the spoiler, as it was an option. I was doing this one as a fairly loaded car, but I think they look better without the spoiler. But I put it on this one. And then the air grabber comes in the kit up or down. Of course, I've never seen anybody actually glue it down, but I did this one up and put the air grabber decals on the side, which come in the Revell kit. And then if you can see the interior, did the bench seat with the silver outlines in it. It's really hard to get the light in there for the interior. But, and then the underside of the chassis here. Pretty simple. The Revell, they have the molded in exhaust, which is molded the rear axle. Most of these I did not cut them out, but it was on my last Superbird build that I decided that I was going to cut that out and make the exhaust separate from the rear axle. And then I added shocks, which there are no shocks on this kit. So I added those on my Superbird build, but I did not do it to this one, or my other GTX, because they're pretty old. But and then all of this is bare metal foil. But I'm pretty happy with the way this came out. And then last but not least, of course, is the 446 pack engine here, which is actually a pretty nice rendition right from Revell. It could use a little bit more detail, but considering this kit actually comes from the early 80s, it's a pretty nice detail. Pretty boring distributor. And then it's got an overflow bottle here, which the cars did not have. I didn't bother removing it. The washer bottle right here is the factory cars have, and I have no idea what this is right here on the side. So I talk about that in the other kit review video too. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. I have no idea what that's supposed to be. But it comes out of the box. It presents as a very nice kit, and I love building it. So much so that I had my original GTX. I rebuilt that one. I'll show you that one in another video. And then I eventually built this one. I had to have a 70 Roadrunner, and so I built this one. And it to me, I love it. It just came out awesome. Since I have another kit, I've actually been tempted to chop it into a convertible, since the Roadrunner was available in a convertible in 69 and 70. The original 68 Roadrunner was not available in a convertible, but they started to throw more options on them and make them more appealing. Even though another interesting fact about the Roadrunner is the sales declined in 1970. They roughly made like 41,000, but in 69 there was like 80 something thousand, so it dropped in half. But most of its competition actually came from within Plymouth, believe it or not. The biggest problem it had was now it was a $3,000 car to start, the base 383 Roadrunner, and it was a decent performer for its time, but that's when the Duster came out. The Duster 340 was cheaper, lighter, and faster than the 383 Roadrunner. So while the Duster took off and sold a ton of Dusters, the Duster 340 package was another 25,000 units made of that, and it was a direct competitor to the Roadrunner for 70. While the Roadrunner was a cheap performance car, it was no longer the cheapest in Plymouth's line. So that took a huge dent into the Roadrunner sales. So just another interesting fact on that one. Two cars in a rapid transit system competing against each other, even though they were different classes, but it did take sales from other cars. But I figured that you would enjoy this one, so I'm showing you this one for this Saturday. And thank you for tuning in and watching, and I'll see you guys next Saturday. So thanks for your subscriptions. Thanks for your comments and everything. I love those. And thank you for watching, and you guys, you have a wonderful day.